My name is Ralph Singleton. I'm the head of the Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Investment Fund, which is an investment fund set up through ERDF funding by the British Business Bank to help fund businesses in and around Cornwall. The fund is a £40 million fund looking essentially to create employment in Cornwall through investment in either equity or debt. So far, we've invested, we will have invested by the end of December 20 million. And alongside that, we've attracted investors with another 50 million into those companies. So it's a total of 70 million, which has come into the Cornish economy. My background is 40 years in investment. Most of those 40 years have been in quoted companies, either in stockbroking or in terms of fund management. The last 7 years have been in the VC market, running funds for various government-funded or quasi-government-funded organisations. The fund itself is, say, looking to promote jobs in and around the region. We're looking for businesses that are very early stage growth. So we don't normally look at pre-revenue businesses. We need a little bit of revenue beyond that. But we probably go up to maximum turnovers about 20 million, maximum valuations about 20 million, and we can invest up to 2 million in any one of those companies. We're pretty traditional VC structure, involving either convertible loan notes or some preference shares with various liquidation and anti-dilution rights. The fund is a little bit different in that we actually promote and actually require, so we can avoid state aid issues, some matched funding. So typically we look for at least a pound for pound investment, and that's how we've been able to attract the money into the business. When I said we'd have 20 million invested, 50 million has come alongside us. So that's very powerful for a number of reasons. One, it justifies the valuation, but if you as a company want to raise more money, you've got more investors on board to call for follow-on funding, and it's easier to do that for more than one company. Clearly on this call, this is quite an international call, so how interesting is Cornwall? It's a small area, so great, but there is another fund coming beyond it called the Greater Southwest Fund, which is another government fund, which will be announced, I believe, sometime next week. It's a £200 million fund, which will be for companies based between Gloucester and Bournemouth and everywhere west of that in England. So it does exclude Wales, but there's a Welsh fund coming at some stage in the future. That again is another British Business Bank fund, run along the same basis. It's not an ERDF fund, so there will be slightly different remits in terms of what it can invest in, but ultimately it's going to be investing in, again, early stage growth funds. I would imagine that fund will probably attract 4 or 5 fund managers. It might have a brief that splits debt or equity. Some funds might do debt and equity. It might split north-south. It might split east-west, but it's quite a sizable fund, but it is a far bigger area than just Cornwall. Our investment style is probably a bit grandiose to say it's Buffett-esque, but we are looking for growth at a reasonable price in essence. So just to give you an example what that might mean, I've been doing this for 7 years, and touch wood, we haven't had a business go bust on us yet, but equally we haven't found the next Google. Now, in my books, the next Google is going to probably go to a large fund way bigger than us, but we're still looking for some good quality companies. And by good quality, I mean companies not going to go bust within six months of us investing. So we do take a lot of time looking at companies. We have a system here that we call AMSP analysis, which talks about what the key metrics are for the company, what their key skills are, what the key products are, what the key routes to market are, what makes them really different to anything out there in the market. M is management. We're looking for good management teams with experience. S is structure. So we're looking to structure the deal in the right way for both the existing shareholders and ourselves as shareholders. So we take quite a pragmatic view on price. So we want the companies to be as confident of the future as we are. We don't want to dilute them too much, but equally we need to make some money out of it, so we don't want to pay too much either. And then finally, the P stands for patience. We do have follow-ons. Typically, there's a couple of follow-ons beyond our initial investment before you perhaps get to a Series A, although actually the fund is big enough to perhaps take part in a small way in a Series A investment round. So that's about it for the fund. If you've got any questions,
sure.
Fire away.
Thank you, first of all, Ralph. And by the way, this is one of the reasons I love demo nights, when we have the opportunity to have these reverse pitches, especially because, and I must thank you for that, by sharing the way you approach things and the methodologies you use to assess investments. That gives a very useful set of tips and hints to the founders from our community, and hopefully they'll benefit from it. Thank you for that. Jana, I see you have a question, please. And
Yes.
we still have 3 minutes for Ralph.
Okay. So Ralph, thank you so much for this introduction. Really appreciate it. Just for my understanding, because I did have a quick look through your website, I would like to know what type of what type of companies do you guys invest in? What type of industries? So I think that would be very useful to everyone on the call to understand that.
Yeah, it's a very diverse area. We've got marine, we've got electronics, we've got telecoms, we've got software, we've got medtech, we've got agri-tech, we've got some retail, we've got some other B2C businesses. So there really is a big range. And it's probably easy to say what we won't invest in. And it's some very strange, which is how we can't do nuclear decommissioning, we can't do shop-based retail, we can't do agriculture direct, and we can't do fishing, and we can't do financial organizations. So, but pretty much anything else is fair game. There are a number of strategic investment areas in Cornwall, like floating offshore wind, like space, like agri-tech, where we're trying to make sure we're focused. Mining is another one which is difficult for us to invest in. It's probably too long term, but if there are mining equipment businesses, we'd certainly have a look at that. And you might have seen all the information about Cornish lithium and British lithium, trying to find lithium in Cornwall, which is clearly quite important in terms of the way the car market's going to go in the future.
Awesome. Thank you, Ralph. Ori, do you have any questions for Ralph?
Yes, my question would be, what work are you doing to attract some minority-led businesses to the area? I'm always thinking about our female founders and our founders of color and so forth, and I'm wondering if you've done any work in that space.
Yeah, we're quite active there's a number of women in business organizations down here where we're very active in. The other issues, we look at absolutely anything. We won't turn down anything. It's harder down in Cornwall. There's probably a lower proportion of minority ethnic groups down in Cornwall than other parts of the country. But yeah, we'll look at absolutely anything. We promote ourselves. We are working with, I've got the name of an organisation. It's equivalent to Black Voices in Cornwall organisation. So we have done some presentations to them as well.
Awesome.
We're open to everybody as well. We don't discriminate against anybody at all.
Great. Thanks again, Ralph.